Hello everyone, and happy Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day, of course, is akin to Veterans Day. It's the same day. Being from the States, Veterans Day is the celebration's name, stateside, and here, Remembrance Day. But there are two, I would argue, distinct traditions and relationships to these days, and I have been very grateful for the opportunity to participate in remembrance services here, not just at church, but in other settings as well. I am grateful that at least in most settings in which I have been here in Canada, Remembrance Day is about grieving the loss of those who were taken too soon, those whose lives were lost at such a young age. And it seems to carry a certain weight, namely that we don't run out into another war as a country. I think the weight of war is felt on Remembrance Day. In my previous setting, yes, there is gratitude extended, but at times in certain settings, it can almost come across as a bit of a pep rally. And I think the tone matters a lot because we don't want to fall into the practice of glorifying war or romanticizing those who engage in war. Instead, it's something to be grieved because it always means tremendous loss of life. And no matter how hard we and others try, there will be countless numbers of non-combatants, that is civilians, vulnerable communities who suffer the worst experiences of war, either through casualties themselves, right, if they are killed or injured, or through the destruction of food supplies, lack of access to certain amenities that are needed. And so I think the horror of war is captured in some of the Remembrance Day services that I've experienced. And that was what I personally tried to bring out on Sunday. I think the Bible is very clear in terms of what we should aspire to. We, of course, especially within some of the older scriptures, within the Hebrew scriptures, there is mention of God's presence on the side of the Hebrews as they win the war and conquer territory, and that's to be expected in that time and place when those texts were being written, composed, or told. That was kind of how many people saw the world, right? When you win, it's because you had the power of a deity behind you that gave you that win. And when you lost, it was because you angered the deity. It was their way of coming to terms with things happening in their community's life. We don't subscribe to that theology here at First St. Andrews, at least not overtly. I'm not trying to tell you what to believe, but I get the sense that most people here don't think God is on the side of a combatant at war. Like, I don't think we believe God is in favor of taking human life. There is a deep sadness in the biblical text and a call to imagine a world where there isn't war, a call to imagine a practice of creating food and bounty and safety for all people in the absence of war, without war. In fact, in the passage from Isaiah, which I read, it talks about turning the weapons of war into instruments of agricultural cultivation. Like, it basically wants us to move in the direction of right relationship with the earth and all its inhabitants, which means, of course, other human beings. Even if they speak different languages, come from other nations, look different, sound different, act different. That is very clear in this passage in Isaiah. And so I enjoy the images, and what I tried to say on Sunday is, in contrast to certain theories of religion, that religion just pacifies us. It gives us a hopeful, utopian setting, space, vision that allows us to maybe have enough to get through another day. Like, there's a way in which religion is seen by these theorists that I referenced and countless others as palliative care. And while I do think religion has a palliative function, our gatherings, our rituals, our services are palliative. They are not only that. I do believe that our liturgies are a rehearsal for the kind of world we want to inhabit. When we invite everybody in and we really mean it, and we say, come in, whether you believe a little or a lot, if you speak a different language, if you speak this language, if you don't have enough, we try to practice the kind of world that we want to live in. It doesn't mean we're so naive to believe that we actually live in that world on a day-to-day basis, but we are practicing. And I always tell my kids, practice. It may not make perfect, but it certainly prepares you and helps you to get further along in the direction of that way of being, that condition, that world that you want, or that skill that you want to acquire. And so I think of what we do on Sundays and throughout the week as practice, as service, as relationship building. All of those things are necessary for us to achieve what we want to achieve as a community of faith, and I believe what we are called to help co-create with God, who is always on the side of peacemaking, who is always on the side of relationship building, who is always on the side of justice. Those are things that I can say unequivocally, and I believe the biblical text on the whole speaks to that as well. So I hope you were able to carry that prophetic witness with you, even as you grieve the loss of those that have been taken too soon, and the lives of those who are taken too soon even today in other parts of the world. We want to lift them up, lift all the communities affected on this day, and work to where no human being has to suffer the consequences of this seemingly endless war. I thank you for joining me today, and I do look forward to seeing you this next Sunday for Anniversary Sunday and New Member Sunday. We are building, we are growing, and I am excited. And so we bring with us all the saints of the past into the newness of a year and all the exciting things to come. Thank you for joining today.